TNT Co-Region Football's Thursday Night Tailgate. Thanks for joining us. Here we are. It's week 8 already. I'm Patrick Crancy. With me, as always, is Brad Hurley and John Cooper. And 3 weeks left. Hard to believe.
Yeah, flying right along, and the weather changing. We were sitting here back in August, kind of 80 degrees, 85 degrees, and now the heat's getting kicked on at night and that kind of stuff, and the weather's changing, and teams are still rolling along, and teams are still struggling along. So the only thing I've learned so far is that we really haven't figured out anything about this season yet. Every time I think we got somebody figured out, something weird happens. So I'm clueless right now.
Yeah, I think we could see we might not have figured out exactly where teams are going to end up, but I think we have that grouping of who we think has a chance to make districts and who is out by now. It's that time of year where teams, every game is like a playoff game now because especially with the league set up, there's no room for air for anyone. So it's gonna be real high drama these next few weeks.
It really is. So we're gonna move right along and get into our Week 7 recap. We had a Thursday night special this week in Lehighton. The league-leading Indians hosting the Panther Valley Panthers in the Thursday night special, sponsored by the Botac Foundation to raise awareness for those suffering with depression. So it was a great night Thursday night. Yeah. We were all there.
Yeah,
it was fun.
It was
a lot. It was a lot of fun. We were all up in the visitor section, and Hurls was working for the Times News. Me and Coop had an opportunity to call it for WMGH, and it was a fun night. Great atmosphere, good crowd. Lehighton, they kept on rolling along. The final score ended up 62-7. I know this is going to sound a little crazy because of the score, but if you were at the game, you did see Panther Valley do some nice things at moving the ball, more than we saw against some of the upper tier teams earlier in the year, I think.
Yeah, I spoke to Coach Davis after the game. He said his kids are starting to get comfortable in their offense now, getting comfortable and confident. So they're able to make some plays. They're feeling good when they see those holes open up and they're hitting holes harder. Offensive line played pretty well. Other than the turnovers, PV played a decent game. But when you turn the ball over that much, give a team like that ample opportunities to score, you're going to struggle. And not only did they take those advantages and score off them, they pretty much scored right when the turnovers happened. It wasn't like they had a series or two afterwards. It was, hey, here's the ball, we're going to take it into the end zone. So, tough loss for the Panthers. We all saw it kind of going that way early on when those turnovers came over. We're like, oh man, you can't keep doing this. But hey, when they had the ball and they were able to string together some drives, a pretty nice job by the Panthers offensively, I thought.
Definitely.
4 of the 5, or I shouldn't say 4 of the 5, but 4 of 5 turnovers direct return for touchdowns. Yeah. Another one returned down to the 2-yard line. So you figure 5 touchdowns that Lehighton didn't really have to put their offense on the field for. Panther Valley did their one impressive drive where they were able to score. Lehighton came right back with the bomb, can to Dershin, and just too much firepower, too many mistakes for the Panthers. But like I said, we did see some good things, namely sophomore running back Jonathan Hafer played a real nice first half. Unfortunately, separated his shoulder, didn't come back for the second half. We saw the freshman Rini Figueroa with some nice runs. I thought the sophomore quarterback Hunter Kennedy played a pretty decent game. So, these young kids are making some strides for the Panthers. That's good to see.
And as for Lehighton, Nick Chambers was an absolute stud. He scored 3 different ways on a block punt, on an interception, and on a reception. And their studs kept making plays. Their first play of the game, you had Cannon to Derishin, first offensive play of the game for Lehighton. And, as I said, they kept rolling along. We talked about the Panthers' offense. And if you didn't see the game, you're probably wondering what we're talking about because he only had 7 points. But it was turnovers. 5 turnovers just it absolutely killed them. There was movement, however, they did move the chains. Lehighton, they scored 62 points on just 30 offensive plays. So as far as Lehighton goes, it was pretty much as perfect as they can play. One thing I do want to point out, hearing a little bit of the talk after the game and then Friday at different games, if you weren't at the game and you're wondering if that score was run up, and this isn't something we ever addressed, but I'm going to address it for tonight because it absolutely was not.
No.
Early second half, you had a lot of second stringers for both teams. You had both JVs that got a lot of reps for both teams. Yeah. And, that absolutely was not the case in this. They scored off every turnover. And as we mentioned, oftentimes it was an interception, not just that led to a new possession, but that was to return for a touchdown, a block punt return for a touchdown. So it was a fun night.
And I think the JV team actually scored 3 touchdowns.
Yeah,
on their own, something. Yeah.
Mayernick had the 7-yard run
Yeah, so,
when the game was in hand, but that was. There was nothing. It was a regular run play to the right side of the line. It wasn't like anything fancy. It was a regular blast to the right or toss to the right. So
Yeah.
All right, so we're going
Good
to keep
stuff.
moving. Our one non-league game this week was Pottsville. They hosted Conrad Weiser. Conrad Weiser came into the game 4-2. Pottsville came into the game 0-6. Still looking to break that losing streak. Pottsville saw some real nice things. A great game here from Eric Wapinski. He had 113 passing yards. He had 57 receiving yards with a touchdown, and he had 41 rushing yards with a rushing touchdown as well. Wasn't enough for Pottsville, however. Conrad Weiser comes out on top, 42-20.
Yeah, it looked like at least Pottsville found some offense, which they've been struggling to do. With Pinsky and also Jacoby with 144 rushing yards. And I see you may know here, Pat, that both of those guys alternate at quarterback or Brett. And, so at least they found some offense, had a tough time defensively, giving them 42 points. But, again, putting the ball in the end zone at least a couple times.
yeah, we talked about it last week. They just had to get something going offensively, some positives. They did that this week. Obviously, defense struggled, but offensively, when you have some talented guys, and these 2 guys are talented, no matter what the record is of Pottsville, Pinsky and Jacoby are very talented players. And you try to, you're looking back and you come to a point where, hey, listen, we don't have anything else to lose. Let's try some things. That's obviously what the Tide did this week, and it worked out. So, maybe they found something and they can continue to use that the rest of the season.
Yeah, big opportunity this week coming up. Actually, the next 3 weeks coming up for the Tide to break the losing streak. But we'll get to that more in our preview. Our next game, out of league, North Schuylkill traveling to Mount Carmel. We both, all 3 of us, I should say, thought that this was going to be a dogfight. This was going to be a great game, and boy, we were wrong. North Schuylkill just absolutely rolls, 41-0 over Mount Carmel. Surprising the way Mount Carmel's been playing the previous 2 weeks, the way Kyle Karaki for Mount Carmel has been running the ball. But North Schuylkill, boy, with Zahodnik taking the reins at quarterback and Major Jordan getting more play now and getting the ball more at fullback, they look fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta love what North Schuylkill did here. Rival in Mount Carmel, up there, which is never a place. The Silver Bowl is never an easy place to win at, and they did it again. And we talked about, hey, maybe Major Jordan's gonna be the man now. I think Gownley did play, but he played on defense only, and I don't think he's gonna play much offense with a knee injury like that. You just don't have that same cutting ability.
Yeah.
So he's probably gonna play mostly defense this year. Zahodnik with another big time game, 4 TDs, and Grigas did play a little bit in this one. So interesting to see what they do moving forward. Great win for them. Big win for them. Gets them right back in the district playoff picture again. So coaching staff North Schuylkill, kudos to them for getting the boys ready this week, and kudos to the players for executing.
Yeah, it looks like they're starting to get healthy a little bit at a time, and I think I think this group of seniors is realizing that this is their last shot. It's a great class. They've done a lot of great things. They gave their fans a lot of great games and great memories, but they don't have that championship yet, and they know. Right now they're in a situation where they can't lose. They got to keep winning to qualify for districts, and I think they're finally hitting that urgency button. I think along the way they've been thinking, all right, 1 loss is okay, 2 losses. Now you're 3 losses, and I think they're finally hitting that button there to go to that next level. So hopefully they'll continue it and get things moving in the right direction.
So is Coop back on the North Schuylkill bandwagon?
I'm jumping back aboard. I
Okay,
like it.
okay, just checking.
I like it.
Just checking. Those in Fountain Springs, I'm sure, were very worried. All right, so moving on. Next, we got Shenandoah, 2-5, traveling to Tamaqua. 2-4 actually entering the game. Tamaqua 3-3 entering that game. A big game for Tamaqua as far as their hopes for a possible postseason berth, and they keep those hopes alive, beating Shenandoah 51-8. Once again, but more.
Yeah, if there's one thing that you could say that Shenandoah's their one weakness is physicality, strength up front. They just don't have the numbers right now for that. They have to build those numbers, have to build that part of their team. Tamaqua, if there's one strength you say every year they're going to have, it's going to be physicality, and they're going to exactly. Moyer's having a great year, doing a great job, helping the Raiders get back in the postseason hunt once again with this victory. And I think we talked about it last week, and I felt strongly about how Tamaqua was going to play. I think that they're hitting their stride right now. A couple tough losses early on. That tough loss in North Schuylkill, real tough loss to Schuylkill Haven. I bet you they wish they had that one back, but. I think they're hitting their stride right now, and they have a real big chance to do some damage and shake some things up this week, which we'll talk about in our preview as well.
Yeah, I got the call this one for WMGH, and it was over pretty quick. Bud Moyer's first 2 carries, 35-yard touchdown and 42-yard touchdown. So they were the first 2 times he touched the ball, took it to the end zone. Shenandoah just couldn't match them up front, and offensively the Blue Devils struggled in their passing game. They have to move the chains by passing the football. They Tamako got good pressure on them. And, Shenandoah, they struggled. They did make some plays, but you just can't sustain drives, and they didn't make those enough of those big plays that they needed. So, Tamako took control early and just kind of cruised in this one.
One note, Thorne Devlin for Tamako, 5 extra points, also had a field goal in that game. I believe it's about a 28-yard field goal. So that's a nice weapon there that Tamako has.
Big weapon.
Yeah, and then that's something that can come into play with these games that you anticipate some close games down the stretch. If you're Shenandoah, you got 2 big wins this year, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
You got to feel great about that. I think the next step for them is being more competitive in these games.
Yep.
Against some of the mid to upper tier teams, and we're definitely seeing some bright spots from 4-6-2 so far in this season. And so congrats to them as well. Now, next game we have Minersville. They're 0-6 coming into this game, heading to Blue Mountain, to the Eagles Nest, take on Blue Mountain, and Blue Mountain with their only loss this year being the tough loss at Lehighton. Blue Mountain in complete control of this game. They come out on top 42-6, and we talked about it. Minersville struggles specifically throwing the ball. Once again, no passing yards in this game for the Miners.
3rd straight game now. Until they can get that part of their offense rolling, I mean, it's just I think it's gonna be the same product week in and week out with the same result, because you just keen on one part of the offense. It's so much easier to play defense. I mean, it's just it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out.
Right.
So you got to kind of feel for the Miners. We talk about it all the time. This was a team we thought was going to be able to maybe surprise some people this year, and whatever happened, happened, and they're just not there right now. So they have some tough matchups left, and they just got to try to keep their head above water here and finish out the season strong. But you got to give credit to Blue Mountain. They're doing everything they can do to keep themselves in that hunt, and they can control their destiny. They're hoping for some surprises along the way to get them back in the District 11 race, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. But Blue Mountain, you got to be really impressed with them after losing how many people they lost last year, to be able to come back and play as strong as they have.
And this might be the last time that Minersville will play Blue Mountain.
I think so.
I would think so.
With the 2 divisions next year, it's a matchup that really shouldn't occur. It has to, I understand, for this year, but after this year, this doesn't have to happen anymore, and Miners will be able to move their program forward.
Christian Puzzy, once again, the best kicker in recent memory that we've seen.
Yeah.
And first 5 kickoffs for Blue Mountain, and all 5 of them were right off the bat, because they were scoring pretty quickly. But his first 5 kickoffs were touchbacks. Completely controlled the field position for Blue Mountain. He's a huge weapon coming down the stretch and into the possible postseason for Blue Mountain. And I'm curious to see what type of looks this kid gets from colleges.
Yeah.
Because he is legit. I mean, you look at him, his kickoffs, you look at him kicking field goals and warm-ups. Hasn't had that many opportunities in the game. Had a few, but hasn't had that many in the game. But the kid's got a leg, and I'm curious to see how this plays out down the stretch, and then in the offseason with his college choice, if that's a route he chooses to go. Next, we have Marion at Schuylkill Haven. Coach Dukoski for Marion sitting at win 299 for the last few weeks, heading to Schuylkill Haven, and this is one that we were pretty amped about. We thought this was going to be a great co-region football game, and boy, once again, we were kind of wrong.
We were wrong.
We were wrong. Who'd you pick in this one?
I took the Colts all the way.
Who'd you take?
I had the Hurricanes.
And I had the Hurricanes as well. I thought the Hurricanes were going to pull out a tight one.
Yeah, we did.
You can check my grid picks from last week if you don't believe me.
Oh, we would never doubt your
No, we don't doubt.
We just thought you'd be gloating a little more about.
I mean, most of the time, this year, believe it or not, I've been pretty right on my picks on the show.
You are doing well.
Yeah, so I'll keep it quiet till about week 9, and then after some of those, that's when I'll start to bring it on a little bit.
But I mean, boy, you look at this game. I mean, obviously, man gets KJ Snurback, who's a huge part of their offense. But boy, I mean, is this the same team that played North Schuylkill? I mean, just one one player. I mean,
Yeah.
there's more to it.
Well,
There's more to it. But the way they turned it on this week, on the road, real impressive.
yeah. What I think happened, and what I thought was going to happen was, if anybody watched that Jim Thorpe Schuylkill Haven game, it was close, but they had some problems with Heller, and I think Snur and Heller are pretty much basically the same back.
Mm-hmm.
They're both fast. They're both stronger than they look, and they're really good at bouncing off guys. I think you saw last week Heller, some guys were trying to just like knock him down and just hit him up high, and he'd just bounce off and keep running. And that's the same type of back KJ Snur was, and they had some problems with Heller, Haven did. So I knew when KJ came back, I think he could have came back the week before, but they rested him up because they knew this was such a huge game for them. And he came out and he played, I mean, he had his best game of the year, maybe his best performance ever as a Colt. So, and the Marion offensive line was good. Listen, Marion's we all know how talented Marion is.
Yeah.
They just hit a rough stretch, I think, without their leader and their best player, and it kind of hurt them a little bit, and that happens. But, I took the Colts, and it worked out in my favor, and Haven could have came out and done well, but, I think that they just need to get that toughness back. I think it's somewhat there sometimes, but they're just in a very inconsistent ball club this year. I think we can all agree with that.
Yeah.
And this game showed that. I mean, at home, Rotary Field, you have a chance to really make some strides, and Marion came in and took care of business. But don't count Haven out yet. A lot of football left to play.
Yeah, and from what I understand, Haven struggle with turnovers.
Yeah.
And, Marion's going to score their points. And the way to stay with them or to beat them is to score with them. And if you're turning the ball over and limiting your possessions and giving KJ Snur more and more opportunities, obviously, then you're going to get away from you. And that's what happened in this one. Going in, I thought Lozado was playing really well. I thought they were running the ball well. I thought they had a lot of good things going for them, as did Schuylkill Haven. But you have these games where you can't hold on to football, and it turns into a lopsided affair, and now they have to bounce back from it.
And also speaking of the Colts, I mean, their back was against the wall this game. If they don't get this one, they would have dropped to 3-4.
Yeah.
Haven, they were 4-2, so they dropped to 4-3. Both of them obviously still not only very much alive, but favored to be there in the District 11 single A playoffs and be there, competing for that championships. But if that doesn't happen on Friday night for the Colts, then if they drop to 3-4, who knows? So with their backs against the wall, they have their best game of the year. So Marion comes out on top, 41-14 over Schuylkill Haven. Next, we have our game of the week. Another game that we thought would be a very good, closely contested game. But, I think we also mentioned that if Mason Ryan didn't play for Monterey area, it was going to be tough for them to do some things offensively. And that turned out to be the case. Jim Thorpe beats Monterey area 35-0. Jim Thorpe goes to 7-0. Monterey area drops to 4-3. Pearls, you were there, right?
Yeah, I was, and Mason Ryan looked pretty good. He was walking around pretty well. I think they did a smart thing by holding him out too, because listen, that game against Jim Thorpe really doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things.
It wasn't. It wasn't a must-win for them.
Yeah, so I think it was smart by him. Plus, you're playing one of the better defenses in the league. Why risk getting him injured even longer if you want him fresh back for a big rival game this week? Jim Thorpe defense show what they show all year. We talk about speed and strength. That's their key. They're riding their defense this year, and then they're just riding the play of Heller and the surprisingly great and underrated play of their offensive line. They did it off big plays again, huge plays again. I think they definitely average over 10, 12 yards a carry offensively, and just got the job done again. And another goose egg for them against, even though that they had a very capable quarterback back there. Doing well for them. I have a hard time pronouncing his name. It's like Laren Dusky or something like that, but I can't pronounce it very well. But great job defensively for Thorpe. Monterey still in it. Just a rough week without their leader.
Yeah, we did say that last week. If Mason Ryan didn't play, they'd struggle offensively. Not taking away from the other players, but it's that read option. It just takes reps and reps and reps. You just can't go in there and learn that 1 week. So he didn't have the reps that he needed. And the only one, but the thing that surprised me was the chunks of yardage that Monterey gave up defensively. Like coming off that shutout of North Schuylkill a few weeks ago, you thought they had some things figured out defensively, and then just to give up those huge chunks of yardage was surprising to me. And that Jim Thorpe was able to score kind of at will was surprising also.
Yeah.
I tell you, I think it's going to be very interesting because here we are. We're 7 weeks in. And for Jim Thorpe, it's like, okay, now let's go.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it. We're all, but I can't wait.
waiting for here.
I can't wait to see what's going to happen with these guys these next 3 weeks.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
going to be very exciting because last year they were in the same boat, and they get themselves back here this year's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah.
But now, you got the gauntlet coming up in the next 3 weeks. So, and it's going to be games that Jim Thorpe absolutely needs to take care of. So, moving ahead, speaking of the top teams in the league, let's first talk about the top performances of the week, our hard coal performers. So, Hurls, who you got?
My hard coal performer of the week is KJ Snur, 20 carries, 225 yards, 3 touchdowns. Also threw a 10-yard passing TD. Great performance after coming back from an injury. People don't realize how hard that is to come back and have a lot counted on you to produce right away. It's mentally and physically a big demand, and KJ came through for the Colts.
I went with the running back tandem that we spoke of earlier of Heller and Madera.
Yep.
Each guy 7 carries, each guy over 100 yards. They combined for 245 or something, 3 touchdowns. Huge chunks of yardage, unlimited number of carries. They did a great job.
Nick Chambers from Lehighton, Thursday night special, only game in town. All he did was block a punt, returned it for a touchdown, intercept the pass, returned it for a touchdown, and had a huge touchdown reception. So that's my hard coal performer of the week. All right, moving on. Top 4, Coop.
All right, Lehighton, Jim Thorpe, Blue Mountain, and I'm putting my Spartans back in at number 4.
I'm the same as Coop. Those are my top 4 as well.
I agree.
Okay.
That's part 1. We'll be right back with part 2, TNT, Coal Region Football's Thursday night tailgate. Welcome back, TNT, Coal Region Football's Thursday night tailgate. Thanks for joining us. This is part 2 of our Week 8 show. I'm Patrick Crampsey. With me, as always, is John Cooper and Brad Hurley. First thing we're going to do, take a look at the AFL standings as of now. We got Lehighton in control. Coop, you got the slide up there. So what else we got after the Indians, who are undefeated in the league? Who do we got for the top 4?
Well, we got Lehighton and Jim Thorpe both undefeated, 6-0 each. Blue Mountain comes in at 5-1, and then Monty area still holds on because all 4 of their wins have been in the league, so they have one more win than the teams behind them at 4-3. And then we got that little grouping of 3-3 teams, starting with Marion and North Schuylkill, and then Schuylkill Haven, Tamaqua 3-3, Shenandoah 2-5, and the Panthers and Miners still looking for that first win.
So you were talking about Rose, the groupings of teams that we have at 4-3. I mean, we have how many teams in the NFL we have right now 4-3 or better?
Well, we have 4 teams, 4-3 or better. Well, 8 teams,
8 teams
4-3
total.
or better. 4 at 4-3 right now.
Yeah.
So pretty impressive. A lot of parity, a lot of solid throughout from the top to the bottom this year.
And you're also one thing you're seeing the AFL teams do well in their non-league games.
Yeah.
We're kind of seeing that across the board. Every week we have one team going out of league, and we're seeing them do well in their non-league games. So moving on to our Week 8 preview. Pottsville, as we always mention, not in the AFL as of now. Will be starting next year when we go to 2 divisions, big school, small school. Pottsville this week going to Daniel Boone. Pottsville right now sitting at 0-7. Daniel Boone at 3-4. Looking at some of these scores, comparable. Pottsville's got to feel like this is a good opportunity that they have in front of them here in Week 8.
Yeah, we talked about it in our earlier segment. Pottsville had got some offense going, so Jacoby Wapinski have to feel pretty confident with their performances last week. Showed some different looks, showed some different things, and got to carry that offensive momentum into their game this week, and defense has to play better for the Tide as well.
Yeah, I agree. Build off what you did last week and get that first win.
First prediction of mine of the night: Pottsville wins their first game this week. They break the losing streak. I think we're seeing some good things offensively. I think defensively, what we saw out of them this past week was a little uncharacteristic. We saw them playing tougher defensively. They had a few hiccups there. They gave up a special teams touchdown right before half. That really hurt. Pottsville gets win number 1 this week. So, moving on, our non-league game this week is Hanover traveling to Panther Valley. The Hawkeyes are 1-6. Panthers still searching for that first win of the season. So, Coop, what do you think of this one?
One thing that, like, after you play a team like Lehighton, the following week everything's going to seem a little bit easier. The game's going to seem a little bit slower because Lehighton is at that next level. So things are going to develop a little bit better, I think, for the Panthers. I think they play a lot better in this one than they did last week. And I think the Panthers get their first win of the season this week.
Nice. Carlos?
Hanover, lone win over Holy Redeemer. Holy Redeemer's 1-6 as well. To me, it doesn't really matter who the Panthers play. They need to take care of the ball.
Absolutely.
They take care of the ball. maybe build off some of that momentum they had in the run game last week with Rainey, Figueroa. We know Hafer's not going to be there. This could be, in the future, a nice 1-2 punch for the Panthers if they can get that figured out. The thing I want to see this week is I want to see PV make some plays in the passing game. Last week, I think Kennedy put the ball on the spot in some plays and kids just didn't come up with the catches. So they need to make those plays. I agree with Coop. I like their Panthers this week. I think it's a perfect opportunity then for them to put everything together. Let's take a quarter from this game, a quarter from that game, a quarter from that game that we played well, and let's put it together. And hopefully the Panthers can do that. We always want to see our AFL teams do good and represent the AFL well, so I like the Panthers as well, too.
I agree. I think once again the AFL team wins their out of the game, and Coach Davis and the Panthers get their first win of the year. Moving on, we got Schuylkill Haven heading to Minersville. Miners 0-7, Schuylkill Haven 4-3. Schuylkill Haven looking to control their own destiny as far as the district playoff, single A playoff berth goes, and Schuylkill Haven, it's going to be interesting to see how they respond after this Marion game.
Yeah, after their last loss, they responded really well and came back with a big win. So I expect them to do the same thing again. I think they'll go down to Minersville. Minersville's struggling right now. I mean, it's no secret there. They're having some difficulties. So I think Haven gets back on track.
Yeah, I agree. Set up nice for them here to bounce back well. Like I said, they're not out of the postseason at all. They actually are going to make postseason. It looks like with the way it's set up. So they need to play as strong as they can. They need to, the goal for the Hurricanes over the next 3 games, I think, is to get consistent. Consistent for these next 3 games, offensively, defensively, taking care of the ball. So when they're going into districts, they have some momentum.
I agree. I mean, let's face it. If they could get more consistently and improve, they could certainly be a team that could win District 11 single A.
Yeah.
Not saying they're the favorite, but they're certainly a team that is without a doubt should be a goal. There is a possibility because we've seen that in spurts from Schuylkill Haven.
Yep.
So moving on, we have Lehighton heading to Shenandoah. Lehighton right now undefeated, 7-0, alone atop of the AFL standings. Shenandoah 2-5, 2 nice wins on the year so far for Shenandoah. It's going to be tough for Shenandoah to match the physicality of Lehighton.
I think what's most impressive about this Lehighton team is that they're getting better each and every week, as scary as that sounds. Mm-hmm. They're getting new playmakers that are gaining confidence every week.
Yeah.
And now those new guys are just turning into household names for them.
Yeah.
And it's impressive to see. It's a credit to the kids. It's a credit to the coaching staff. So Devils just getting a real tough opponent at the wrong time of the year, late in the year, and I expect Lehighton to roll, obviously.
Yeah, me too. And the I don't know if you want to call it a problem, but the one thing you have to worry about for Lehighton here with these matches where you're heavily favored and your kids are only maybe playing a half of football or maybe one series into their quarter is that now you're kind of not losing momentum, but not getting all that playing time that you really need going down the stretch for playoffs. So we kind of saw it happen in North Schuylkill last year. They got in that comfort zone where they got to rest a lot of guys down the stretch, and I don't know if it factors in later or not, but it's one of those things. As the coach, you obviously want to keep your starters out there with a comfortable lead, but at the same time, you're going, man, I really like to work on this, I really like to work on that. So it's a tough stretch. So Lehighton obviously a heavy favorite here. All
right, so here we go. Last week, specifically Friday night game night, we were talking and we were tweeting about it was a lot of blowouts. There wasn't many close games, wasn't many competitive games on the slate this past week. We think that next year with the new alignment with the big school, small school, that's certainly going to help this. You're not going to see as much of that. However, this week, week 8, moving forward, these next 3 games we're going to talk about, we're expecting 3 dandies. We're expecting these games to be very competitive. These games have huge implications for the league, for the district, for the Eastern Conference. So let's have that. The first one is Blue Mountain heading to Tamaqua. Blue Mountain 6-1, Tamaqua 4-3. First glance, Blue Mountain 6-1, you would think they would roll. But Tamaqua, their physicality could match up with Blue Mountain.
Oh, 100%. I think this game will be one of the most physical games of the entire season.
Yes.
They're just built that way. They're built to battle in the trenches. I think that this game will be one of the top 3 most physical games of the year. Like I said, I think Tamaqua's hitting a stride right now, and I like the way Blue Mountain's playing. They've been consistent all year long. If you look at every game they've played, they've been good every game, solid in all 3 phases. Good team, real good team. What I expect out of this one is Tamaqua to hang tough, but I like Blue Mountain in the end game. The only way I could see Tamaqua upsetting the Eagles is if Thad Zuber has a coming out party. Coach Sam Bonner kind of lets him roll, lets the passing offense roll, lets him make some big plays downfield, some throws that Blue Mountain's not expecting. And then I think the Raiders could upset him because you get a nice little passing game with a guy like Bud Moyer in the backfield, you can really do some damage. So I'm waiting for them to take that step in the passing game. And if they do, they can upset the Eagles, but I like the Eagles in this one.
Yeah, I got to see Tamaqua play last week, and they're doing some good things. They're we often think of it as one dimensional in the running game, but it's not all Bud Moore anymore. They got a freshman fullback now playing very well, by the name of Nick Briner.
Yeah.
And he's like a mini Bud Moyer, if you will. You know, obviously the heir apparent.
Yeah.
So now they don't have to just set Bud up in the backfield anymore, and he can move, he can come across in motion. They'll run toss plays to him now, and Briner, he goes 4 or 5 yards a pop straight ahead every time he gets the ball. Dalen Barron's been getting the ball a lot from them, so they're doing some other things, getting the ball in other guys' hands where they can use Moyer sometimes as a decoy, sometimes in the passing game. And I agree. I think Zuber will need to make some plays through the air. I think their tight end can make some plays this week. Eddie Titus, they designed some plays from last year. He had some open looks. Unfortunately, had a couple drops, but the plays were there, and I think they'll come back to them this week. And this is going to be my upset special. I think Tamaqua sneaks one out this week.
Ooh,
Wow.
Cool. I like it. All right, Blue Mountain, three-headed monster in the backfield of Chelius, Forbes, and Callion have been doing a fantastic job all year. I think that Tamaqua is a type of team defensively that can contain that. Very few teams in the AFL could. I think Tamaqua is capable of doing that. I think this game comes down to Spencer Welsh, the receiver from Blue Mountain, and Mason Freed, their QB. What type of plays are they going to be able to make against the Blue Raider defense? And I'm kind of on the fence right now about this one. I guess if we're picking, I'm going to have to make a choice. But I do think this is going to be a very close game. I think, I kind of agree with you, Brad. If Zuber can get out there and make some plays, I think Tamaqua has a real good shot to pull this out. Forced to pick, I say Blue Mountain in a close one, but I do think this is going to come right down to the end. I think it's going to be a fantastic game on Friday night.
And this one might come down to kickers, because we already talked about Puzzy, and we already talked about
Devlin.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so two capable kickers, maybe they're a factor in it also.
Boy, Tamaqua, they could really, really boost their resume for playoffs with a winner. This would be absolute. This is a huge game for both teams playoff wise. Blue Mountain, you got no room for error, and Tamaqua, you could now maybe thrust yourself into that district possibility with a win against a quality team and get the points you would get by beating Blue Mountain. If not, I think that would kind of seal the deal. Well, it would seal the deal for districts, and they would be fighting for a hopeful EC spot and possibly need some help.
I think Tamagua's due for that signature win, like just that big one, because their programs the program's used to getting them here and there. I think they're ready for one.
And we haven't seen a lot of those this year.
No.
We haven't seen
Monterey is the only one that really jumps to mind. Monterey over North Schuylkill.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's been kind of as predicted almost.
Yeah.
Chalk, as they would say in Vegas. It's been a lot of chalk.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. We got, speaking of Monterey, they're heading to hometown this week. Monterey 4-3, Marion 4-3. We are expecting Mason Ryan to play. We'll see if that happens. We obviously KJ Sneer back from Marion, so Marion riding high after their huge win this past week against Schuylkill Haven, and Monterey, you got to imagine chomping at the bit after not having Ryan last week and suffering a loss to the Olympians. So, Hurls, what do you think?
Just because I'm going to say what I'm going to say does not mean I'm shying away from my Monterey District 11 pick. Because I'm not.
Okay.
Sticking with it. Sticking with it.
I have to. I'm a man of my word. I said I picked it and I'm going.
I like it.
But I like Marion this week. I'll tell you why. It's homecoming. They're honoring their 1990 state championship team, and they're coming off a huge win over Schuylkill Haven. I like all those factors in to help Marion boost that. I think Marion right now, getting that 300 win, was not only a burden off of Coach Sikosti's shoulders, it was a burden off the team. And he said himself, you know what, I'm more happy that we got off the schneid here than me winning my 300, to be honest with you. Because when you're a coach, you know how it is. You're living more in the present than in the past. Yeah. So I think that with Snur there playing defense, which he's been doing a lot more lately, that they're gonna do a better job defensively against that option. Ryan's gonna give him a great chance to win. I obviously think Monterey could win, but I like the Colts this week. So many good things happening up there on Friday night. As a player, when you got some cool things happening, you come off a big win, there's a lot of momentum in your favor, and that carries in.
Sure.
Monoy's not coming off a lot of momentum. Marion is. I like the Colts this week.
That's the game I'll be at this weekend. I'm looking forward to it. It should be a lot of fun. I guess if we're picking, I would say Marion has the edge here, and Marion should win this game. But the thing about these Mon area kids, every time they get knocked down, every time they take a step back, they take two forward.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So I can't wait to see
right
how Mon area comes out because like I said, every time you kind of put them on the back burner, they'll come storming right back and do something like they did against North Schuylkill. So can Monoy area win this game? Absolutely. Would I be shocked? Not at all. But I would, if we're going to pick winners, I'll pick Marion. But I think it's going to be, I'm hoping it's going to be a real good ball game. One of those, whoever has the ball last kind of games.
Yeah.
So. Boy, I kind of, looking at this, a few weeks ago, I wanted to pick Monoy. And I'm a little hesitant after last week.
Yeah.
35-0. It's, and Mason Ryan, he runs a show and he can't duplicate what he does in the read option. But 35 points given up, that's
over 400 yards of over 400 rushing yards.
Yeah,
that's worrisome to me as well.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, I mean, KJ Snur very similar to Robbie Helen in the type of the way that they run the ball. Yeah. So. I think Monoy has the capability, but I have to agree. I know that's not going out in the ledge or anything there, but
hey, sometimes you can just. You don't have to go out on the ledge.
Yeah,
I know you like to live on the edge and live on the ledge for your picks, but
I just can't. I just can't.
Yeah.
I do think it'll be close, and I guess I always preface it by I think it'll be close, but I just think Marion is too much right now, and they come on top of this one. So one more, our game of the week. Excited about this one. North Schuylkill heading to Jim Thorpe. Spartans, Olympians. You got the revenge factor from last year.
Yeah.
Ken Thorpe, get over that hump. We've been waiting for this. Jim Thorpe, 7-0. And it's almost like, okay, you're 7-0, that's great, but now you got the gauntlet. What can you do? Can you get past these top-notch teams in the league? What do you think, Koo?
Well, I said a few weeks ago, I thought Jim Thorpe closed the gap. Like last year, we foreshadowed, and we said last year this was our game of the week, and both teams came in at 7-0, if I remember correct. And at that time, we thought there was still a pretty big gap between Jim Thorpe and the North Schuylkill League Height and Blue Mountain teams. This year, we said a while ago that we felt like the gap is closed. I still believe that. A couple weeks ago, this looks like Jim Thorpe's a heavy favorite, but now North Schuylkill, found out that Major Jordan can also play offense, and he's been rolling with close to 500 yards in 2 weeks. So now Jim Thorpe has something new to contend with, a power running game. You get Bobby Grigas back, and you have Tevin Murray still on the outside. So North Schuylkill comes in as dangerous as ever. I think they're back. I think they're better off with Gownley just playing defense because he's such a factor on the defensive side of the ball. But Jim Thorpe is undefeated, and as long as you're undefeated, you're the favorite and you're expected to win. So I'm going to say, the Olympians find a way to get it done this year.
We talked about signature wins earlier. This would be that signature win for Jim Thorpe.
Absolutely.
This would be the one they could be like, wow, we needed this. Now we got.
This would be the biggest win for them since they won the league.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing that I like about this Jim Thorpe team, we talk about it all the time, is their ability to get in the backfield, to penetrate that offensive line and those two defensive ends in Hurley and Palmer that are getting after the quarterback. I mean, those guys have just been after the quarterback.
And it's not Brad. It's not Brad. No, he's not suiting up on Friday nights.
I have no eligibility left. But seriously, those guys.
No, you're right.
Those guys have been great.
They've been very impressive.
I mean, last week against Monoy, they set the edge all night. Monoy couldn't do anything on those, and in a triple option, that's what you're looking to do. And now they had a few good runs to the middle, and North Schuylkill's probably going to look to exploit that a little bit. But Jim Thorpe has a solid linebacking core and a solid secondary, so it's like, what do you do there offensively? And North Schuylkill has struggled against the more speed and physical type of defenses this year. They have. They have. I mean, and it's just hard for me to believe after Monoy shutting them out and then seeing Monoy give up 35 points that could have been a lot more to Jim Thorpe, that they're going to be able to come out with a win with that. It's just too much in favor of the Olympians. And like you said, they are focused. I think they know they've had this chip on their shoulder. They've been talking about it all year.
Yep.
We don't want to go 0-3 again those last 3 games. And I think that they put that into the offseason, And like Coop said, that helped them close the gap. And I like Jim Thorpe. Homer pick, but I like Jim Thorpe.
I'm going Spartans.
Wow.
I'm not surprised.
I'm going.
These kids have their back to the wall. So
I'm going.
not
I'm
surprised.
going Spartans. Their backs are up against the wall as much as their backs can be against the wall, and you still have Zahodnik and Murray and Gownley and Major Jordan, and I think that these guys in close games, they know they're going to win them, and this is going to be a close game.
Right.
In the fourth quarter, this is going to be a close game, and I think when that fourth quarter comes, North Schuylkill, those players, from what they've been through over the last 4 years, they're going to have no doubt in their mind that they're closing this out.
Yeah.
And, I think when you're not in that position a lot, and we've all been there, when you're not in that position a lot, that's a big, big hump to get over. And I think if, I should say if I had to pick, we are picking, I think North Schuylkill pulls the upset this week, moving to 5-3 and solidifying their district playoff chances. So I'll go out on a limb on that one, I guess, and pick the Spartans. But I do think it's going to be a fantastic game. I think it's going to be a great high school football game Friday night.
And if you like watching guys play the linebacker position, go to this game because you're going to see Kevin Vitti on one side of the ball for Jim Thorpe playing middle linebacker, Major Jordan on the other. I mean, two of the best that you're going to find in any area. So if you like watching guys hit people, go watch Vitti and Jordan hit each other for 48 minutes Friday night.
Yeah.
All right, so we're running out of time. Let's zip through these standings real quick. Okay, District 11 standings. Let's look at AAA. We got Tri-Valley number 1, Monterey 2, Marion 3, Haven 4. I'd be shocked if anyone else thinks into there. Anyone disagree?
No, I think you might flip flop 2s and 3s or 3s and 4s, but they're the 4 teams.
Those are your 4 teams you're going to see.
Agreed.
Okay, next we got 2A. This could get interesting. Right now at 1 we got Notre Dame Green Pond, 2 Northwestern Lehigh, 3 Salisbury, 4 North Schuylkill got themselves into that 4th spot after last week's win. We got Northern Lehigh at 5, Palisade 6, Palmerton 7, Tamaqua 8. You got 8 teams in the mix right here. We're going to sort this out, I think, a little next week.
Yeah.
Next week. I mean, Tamaqua, if Tamaqua pulls off an upset,
They'll shoot up.
Yeah. If North Schuylkill pulls off the upset, they'll shoot up. I'll tell you what, if there's no upset, if Tamaqua and North Schuylkill don't pull that upset, you are not seeing an AFL team in District 11 2A.
Nope.
Agreed?
Agreed.
All right. 3A, we have Lehighton number 1, Saucon Valley 2, Becca 3, Allentown Central Catholic 4. They play in the LVC. They're 4-3. They're in the 4th spot ahead of Jim Thorpe, who right now is 7-0. Bottom line, Jim Thorpe, 10-0 is going to get him in.
Yeah.
9-1, maybe.
I would say no, 9-1.
Probably not, but maybe.
Some things would have to happen.
It's,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a flawed system that you could be 7-0 and sit behind a team that's 4-3. But then for AAA, I put the little power rankings on there. You have to have a degree from MIT to figure them out. We don't know how to do it.
Which we don't. Which we don't.
Yeah.
You see, like the percentage points that separate these teams, and it's crazy that a team that's 7-0 has a possibility of not going to playoffs. But it is what it is for high school football, District 11, and that's the way it shapes up now. So as we said, North Schuylkill's in a must-win situation. So are the Olympians.
Yeah.
And any loss probably doesn't put them in.
An all-win situation.
Yeah. I mean, everybody has to run the table from here on out. So everybody can't go to playoffs.
Exactly.
That's all there is to it.
Yep.
All right, real quick, Eastern Conference. Right now, since Jim Thorpe's on the outside looking in, they would qualify for Eastern Conference in AAA. In AA, what we're looking at right now
How about Blue
is
Mountain? Will they qualify also?
Yeah.
Blue Mountain.
Yeah.
AAA. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, and in AA, I'm sorry, thanks for that. AA, we're looking at Tamaqua would get in as well, and in Single A, we're looking at our guys getting in the districts most likely in Single A. So as far as District 11 guys in Eastern Conference, you would see Williams Valley get in, but as far as Haven and Marion goes,
they're gonna go
and Monterey, they're going to get a district. So that is our playoff outlook as of now. This week is going to sort a lot of that out, right?
Right.
I'm excited for it. I really am. I'm excited to see what can happen, who's going to step up, who can get those signature wins we talked about.
I mean, let's face it. Last week was disappointing.
Yeah,
we had
it
blowouts
was.
all over the place.
Yeah.
It's not exciting for anybody, and so we're hoping to come back here next week and talk about some great football games. And we're hoping to talk about the Panthers' first win. We're hoping to talk about Pottsville's first win, and then we're hoping to talk about 3 amazing football games that we just talked about here. So, hopefully, guys will go out and get it done and give us some exciting football this week.
Awesome. We're gonna be Friday night, Coop.
I will be at Marion for Mount Area Marion Colts.
Which
That'll be on the AM WLSH. Our FM game will be Tamaqua Blue Mountain, and then our web game on WMGH.com will be the Jim Thornton North Cougar game, streaming live all around the world.
All right. So if you click on 1410 AM, you will hear the sweet sounds of John Cooper calling that game. Hurls, where you at?
I will be in Maryland, gearing up for the Penn State Maryland game on Saturday.
You will not be at Jim Thornton.
I will not, but I will be listening on WMGH.com.
There you go. Awesome. That's the internet game.
Yep.
And I will be in Lansford at one of the best high school football stadiums in the state.
True.
Hopefully watching the Panthers get their first win. So that's a wrap for our Week 8 show. Once again, this is TNT Coalition Football's Thursday Night Tailgate. Thanks a lot for joining us. Follow us on Twitter at Coal-Region F-Ball. Once again, I'm Patrick Crancy. With me is Brad Hurley and John Cooper. We'll see you next week.